Have you ever felt the weight of history pressing down on you, shaping your thoughts and beliefs without you even realizing it? The story of human spirituality is a tapestry woven with threads of ancient wisdom, evolving consciousness, and the eternal search for meaning. Today, we embark on a journey through time, exploring the transformation of our understanding of Christ and the profound implications it holds for our future. I'm Mark Roach. Welcome to Transcendent, my platform from perspective formed from a journey around the world through life, crossing a wide spectrum of human experience from high to low, as most people in American society define them. This channel is all about inspiring common people to find their power and place their uniqueness in their lives. Much of the research and understandings I've come upon in my journey involve biblical scripture, as well as that of scientists, mystics, and philosophers, and exceptional people like Carl Jung, Wim Hof, Alan Watts, Maurice Nicoll, G.I. Gurdjieff, Peter Ouspensky, and Rudolf Steiner, and many others. Much of their work is not relatable today, but it is highly relevant. I've been updating it and sharing it here, hopefully to ease the way for others who also deal with complex PTSD or have a calling to pursue their uniqueness or have a friend or loved one in such a place. Some of my work feels original here, but these individuals deserve much of the credit. And this video examines work by Rudolf Steiner. To truly grasp the concept of Christ's reappearance in our modern world, we must first understand how our perception of Christ has evolved throughout human history. This journey takes us back to a time when humanity possessed a different kind of awareness, a dreamlike, instinctive clairvoyance that allowed for a more direct connection with the spiritual realm. As we approach the pivotal moment known as the Mystery of Golgotha, the crucifixion and resurrection of Christ, we find ourselves at a crossroads in human consciousness. This event occurred during a time when the remnants of old clairvoyant abilities still existed, particularly amongst the ancient Oriental people. It was through these lingering spiritual faculties that the first understanding of the mystery of Golgotha took root. Imagine, if you will, a world where boundaries between physical and spiritual were less defined, where individuals could perceive truths beyond the veil of ordinary reality. This was the context in which the early followers of Christ, including figures like St. Paul, experienced profound spiritual insights that allowed them to comprehend the true nature of the mystery of Golgotha. As Christianity spread westward, it encountered a different kind of thinking, the intellectual, dialectic approach that was taking hold in Greek and Roman cultures. This marked the beginning of a significant shift in how people understood and related to the Christ event. The direct, intuitive perception gave way to a more analytical, reasoning-based approach. The early Christian Gnostics attempted to bridge this gap using their remnants of clairvoyant abilities to describe the spiritual realities behind Christ or this Christ event. However, as time progressed, the old clairvoyance faded and a new way of understanding Christ emerged, one based on authority and tradition rather than direct spiritual perception. This shift gave rise to the medieval principle of authority, where the church, particularly the Roman Catholic Church, became the arbiter of spiritual truth. The mystery of Christ was no longer something to be directly experienced, but rather something to be accepted on faith, based on teachings of those in positions of religious authority. As we enter the Middle Ages, we see a fascinating interplay between this principle of authority and growing human desire for individual understanding. This tension manifested in various ways, from strict strict prohibition on lay people, common people like us, from reading the Bible, to emergence of mystics who sought a more personal connection with Christ. The Reformation marked another significant turning point, challenging the established authority of the church and advocating individual interpretation of the scripture. However, this also led to new challenges as the contradictions within the Gospels became apparent when approached with pure intellectual mindsets. Now, fast forward to the 19th and early 20th centuries, and we find a theological landscape that has largely stripped away the spiritual essence of Christ, reducing him to a historical figure, the man Jesus, devoid of his divine nature. This intellectual approach, while claiming to be scientific, often rests on its own form of unquestioned authority, that of academia and modern scholarship. But here's the crucial point. We now stand at the threshold of a new era in human consciousness. Just as the old clairvoyance faded, making way for intellectual development, we are now witnessing the emergence of a new kind of spiritual perception. This isn't a return to the dreamlike state of our ancestors, but rather a conscious, clear-sighted ability to perceive spiritual realities. This new faculty of imagination, as Rudolf Steiner calls it, offers the potential for a renewed direct understanding of the Christ impulse. It's through this evolving capacity that we may once again grasp the profound significance of the mystery of Golgotha and its relevance to our modern lives. The implications of this shift in consciousness extend far beyond theology. They touch every aspect of human life, from education to social structures. Consider how our approach to child development and education might change if we truly understood spiritual nature of the human being. We would recognize that a child's imitative behavior in early years is a reflection of their recent experiences in the spiritual world, and we would structure our educational methods accordingly. As we move through different stages of life, from the imitative phases of early childhood to the need for authority in the elementary years, and finally to the awakening of individual judgment in adolescence, we see a microcosm of humanity's broader spiritual evolution. Our educational systems and societal structures must evolve to support this development, fostering the growth of free, spiritually aware individuals. The challenges we face in our modern world, from economic instability to political upheaval, can be seen as symptoms of this ongoing spiritual evolution. The old ways of thinking and organizing society are breaking down, creating a sense of chaos and nullity. But it's precisely from this nullity that we must now be born. We stand at a critical juncture in human history. The materialistic worldview that has dominated Western thinking is reaching its limits, while the decadent remnants of ancient spiritual wisdoms in the East offer little guidance for our modern challenges. It is in this void, this apparent nullity, that we must find the strength to forge a new path. The reappearance of Christ in our time isn't about physical return or a dramatic world event. Rather, it's about awakening of a new spiritual perception within humanity. This perception allows us to understand Christ not as a distant historical figure or an abstract concept, but as a living spiritual reality that can guide us through the challenges of our time. As we cultivate this new faculty of spiritual perception, we open ourselves to a deeper understanding of our own nature and a place in the cosmos. We begin to see beyond the surface level conflicts and contradictions of our world, recognizing the underlying spiritual currents that shape our reality. This journey of spiritual awakening isn't easy. It requires us to question our assumptions and look beyond comfortable certainties of both traditional religion and modern materialism. It calls us to develop our inner faculties to strive for a balance between clear thinking and spiritual insight. But the rewards of this journey are immense. As we develop this new kind of spiritual perception, we become capable of addressing the complex challenges of our time from a deeper wisdom and compassion. We can begin to heal the rifts that have torn our societies apart, find new ways to organize our social, our economic, and our political lives that honor the full spectrum of the human potential. The path forward isn't about rejecting science or rejecting reason, but about expanding our understanding to include the spiritual dimensions of reality. It's about recognizing that our true knowledge comes not just from external observation and logic, but also from inner development and spiritual insight. As we stand on the brink of this new era, we are called to be pioneers of consciousness. We must have the courage to explore these new faculties of perception, to question our inherent beliefs, and to forge new understandings that can guide humanity toward a more spiritually aware and compassionate future. The reappearance of Christ in our time is not an event to be passively awaited, but a potential to be actively realized within each one of us. As we cultivate our capacity for spiritual perception, we open ourselves to a renewed living relationship with the Christ impulse, a relationship that can transform not only our individual lives, but the very fabric of our societies. In this time of global upheaval and uncertainty, the development of these new spiritual faculties offers a beacon of hope. It points the way toward a future where science and spirituality, reason and intuition, individual freedom and social responsibility can exist in harmony. As we conclude this exploration, I invite you to reflect on your own spiritual journey. How might you cultivate this faculty of spiritual perception in your own life? What old patterns of thinking or believing might you need to let go of to make space for these new insights? How can you contribute to the spiritual evolution of humanity in your own unique way? Remember, the path of spiritual development is not about escaping the challenges of our world, but it's about engaging with them from a place of deeper wisdom and compassion. It's about bringing the light of spiritual insight into the practical realities of our everyday lives. As we move forward into this new era of human consciousness, let us do so with courage, openness, and commitment to truth. Let us be willing to question our assumptions and to explore new ways of perceiving and understanding, and to work together to create a world that honors the full spectrum of our human potential, physical, intellectual, and spiritual. The reappearance of Christ in our time is not just a theological concept, it's a call to action, an invitation to each of us to awaken to our full spiritual potential and to participate consciously in the ongoing evolution of human consciousness. May we rise to this challenge with open hearts and minds, ready to embrace the transformative power of spiritual insight in our modern world. I'm Mark Roach, wishing you all the best.